The next step we're going to do here is going to highlight her dress. I'm not going to do any shadows because I want her to be a bright, cheerful figure, but this technique I'm going to be using is applicable to shadows as well. I'm going to put a link down in the description to the video I made showing how it clicked for me at the last ReaperCon, 2016 ReaperCon. But let's start out by talking about the color. Now, I used Surf Aqua for the base color of the dress. The problem with that is if you look here on Surf Aqua, this is the Reaper's colors, it is the highlight for that triad. So we're going to have to mix our own. Now technically I do have a paint that would work, but it's not a color that you can just purchase. So we did use the Ghost White for the trim, and it's got a bit of a bluish tint to it, and so I'm going to use that to mix a highlight. And you can see from the figures I've already been playing around with it, came up with one that did not work. But start out, that's our base color. Over here we're going to do let's do 3 drops of our Surf Aqua base, because this Ghost White is pretty strong, I guess you could say. So toothpick ready. And just going to do 1 drop of that. And by strong I mean it's almost pure white. Yeah. And you can see that's pretty bright to begin with. You know, I've heard try to choose colors that are already on your palette. This was just a happy accident. Let me get my toothpick back because I don't like mixing with my brush. So what we're just going to do is mix an in-between shade. You can't really tell that much, so it does not look that spectacular. So let's add another drop of the Ghost White to our highlight color. So that's much more of a highlight, and then I'm just going to mix a little bit in there, and there we go. We can start, and I'm going to have to pull this off screen, but we're going to start with my base highlight that I created. The highlight I created. Ah, this is awkward. Let me move that even further. So, we've got the top of the sleeves for sure, and basically I'm going to paint a stripe on her dress. The direction of the sunlight is dependent on this stripe, and I'm just going to make it directly overhead, so they're eating at noon, I guess. And I'm going to work it down just a little bit further than where we really want I really want the highlight. And there is a purpose to this, which will be explained later. And it's kind of easy here. You just kind of look from the top and say, okay, right there to right there, I think is where the stripe should be. And then I just paint that in. Okay. And now, for the back of her dress, I can see the light coming down is just hitting the very bottom of her dress, like the trim area. So we'll just paint in something like that. I really have to break myself of the royal we. And again, I'm painting more than I actually would. And looking at how smooth her dress is, there's not going to be a whole lot here. The front of her dress, yeah, the trim at the bottom really kind of gets hit a lot. So we'll paint that. I'll paint that. You know what? She may be wearing an apron, but oh well, it's dress. So then from there, I kind of want to paint the ruffles a little bit, but not a lot. So I'll just make some quick stripes, and this is a lot smaller than the other highlights we're going to do, because I don't want to illustrate it so much. And again, bigger than what I actually do want. And because it's so dry out right now, all my paint is actually dry already. So we can just go straight on to the next step, which is erasing the lines in between those two. And that's what we pre-mixed. This back over. This middle color. And this is why I'm using a wet palette to do just this little tiny work. I might be able to just cradle that. No, I think that'd be bad. So anyway, just gonna load up on our middle color, which is in between the highlight and the base. Wipe off a little bit of that. And we'll start with the sleeve that we started with, so we know it's clean. And let me get this shown. So I just kind of go in there and just kind of pick the midpoint between the two and just make little lines across it. And this one's going to be hard, if you can see, just because there isn't really much of a line there. So I'm just going to dab paint where I think I can get it. Let's see if I can get really close up to showing that. And where are you focusing on? I'll focus on my fingers. Anyway, that's kind of where it wants to focus. So. But the line in between those two colors has been hidden quite a bit. And so we just go over, let me see if I can do this one in a more close-up view. So there's the line. And this is where a good brush comes in. This is a nice Raphael, but it will hold the paint and it will hold lots of water. You're not going to focus. And so it's kind of a wet palette on your brush almost. Okay, let me look at that. It's pretty good, but I'd like to erase the line at the top too. Maybe we just go all the way up, but she does have that there. Okay, so then we just go in here to the back and we do the same thing to the edge of the dress, which looks like I painted that ribbon, so I'll have to touch that up before we go any further on it. And on the wet palette, you could make, you don't have to do just one mix in between, playing around with a different figure on this technique. I had just a constant spread of color. I don't want to get all of it, I just want to get the line. Of course, this may be a point where, nope, I still got paint. So now I'm kind of focusing on the edge of the dress there. I really want to get that a bit more blended back in. And then that one right there, make sure I still got paint. Yep. I don't like this edge over here, so I'll try to blend that back in. I kind of switch to a different direction. I'll make it more stripey, but I generally just keep going over it and around it until you've got kind of the look you want. And I'm going to declare success on this. I have maybe a little bit more on that sleeve right there. But by going kind of on that line there, you get the paint going across the base color and the full highlight color, and so it kind of helps with that blend in between. But anyway, there's the highlights done basically. I think we could theoretically put some highlight in there, but I think that's hidden. So that's how I'm doing this, and we'll progress to the next color in the next video. Thanks for watching.